Welcome to Selections from Theosophy's Sacred Teachings in the Key to Theosophy, Part 2 of 2 on the septenary constitution of our planet. Madame Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, vegetarian, was born in 1831 into a noble family in Ukraine, or Urian. As a child, young Helena displayed a gift for clairvoyance as well as an interest in metaphysical phenomena. Years later, she traveled throughout Europe, the Middle East, and India, studying with various teachers and Sufi saints. Following the guidance of an Indian yogi named Mahatma Maurya, vegetarian, Madame Blavatsky, vegetarian, co-founded the Theosophical Society. Theosophy, meaning divine wisdom, refers to knowledge that comes through spiritual experience rather than intellectual understanding alone. The Theosophical Society is dedicated to uplifting humanity through a realization of the oneness of life and the wisdom underlying all religions. Madame Blavatsky, vegetarian, wrote several important books on theosophy, including Isis Unveiled, The Sacred Doctrine, The Key to Theosophy, and The Voice of the Silence. The Key to Theosophy unlocks the door that leads to deeper study of theosophy. In contrast to other theosophy volumes, it is written in simple explanatory language. Readers are thus able to more easily understand its fundamental principles. Today, on Words of Wisdom, we invite you to join us for excerpts from the Key to Theosophy. Section 6th, Theosophical Teachings as to Nature and Man on the septenary constitution of our planet. Inquire. I understand that you describe our Earth as forming part of a chain of Earths. Theosophist, we do, but the other 6 Earths or globes are not on the same plane of objectivity as our Earth is. Therefore, we cannot see them. Inquire. Is that on account of the great distance? Theosophist, not at all, for we see with our naked eye planets and even stars at immeasurable greater distances, but it is owing to those 6 globes being outside our physical means of perception or plane of being. It is not only that their material density, weight, or fabric are entirely different from those of our Earth and the other known planets, but they are to us on an entirely different layer of space, so to speak, a layer not to be perceived or felt by our physical senses. And when I say layer, please do not allow your fancy to suggest to you layers like strata or beds laid one over the other, for this would only lead to another absurd misconception. What I mean by layer is that plane of infinite space which by its nature cannot fall under our ordinary waking perceptions, whether mental or physical, but which exists in nature outside of our normal mentality or consciousness, outside of our three-dimensional space, and outside of our division of time. Each of the 7 fundamental planes or layers in space, of course as a whole, as the pure space of Locke's definition, not as our finite space, has its own objectivity and subjectivity, its own space and time, its own consciousness and set of senses. But all this will be hardly comprehensible to one trained in the modern ways of thought. Inquire. What do you mean by different set of senses? Is there anything on our human plane that you could bring as an illustration of what you say, just to give a clearer idea of what you may mean by this variety of senses, spaces, and respective perceptions? Theosophist, none except perhaps that which for science would be rather a handy peg on which to hang a counter-argument. We have a different set of senses in dream life, have we not? We feel, talk, hear, see, taste, and function in general on a different plane. The change of state of our consciousness being evidenced by by the fact that a series of acts and events embracing years, as we think, pass ideally through our mind in one instant. Well, that extreme rapidity of our mental operations in dreams and the perfect naturalness for the time being of all the other functions show us that we are on quite another plane. Our philosophy teaches us that as there are 7 fundamental forces in nature and 7 planes of being, so there are 7 states of consciousness in which man can live, think, remember, and have his being. To enumerate these here is impossible, and for this one has to turn to the study of Eastern metaphysics. But in these 2 states, the waking and the dreaming, every ordinary mortal, from a learned philosopher down to a poor untutored savage, has a good proof that such states differ. Inquire, you do not accept, then, the well-known explanations of biology and physiology to account for the dream state? Theosophist, we do not. We reject even the hypothesis of your psychologist preferring the teachings of Eastern wisdom. Believing in 7 planes of cosmic being and states of consciousness with regard to the universe or the macrocosm, we stop at the 4th plane, finding it impossible to go with any degree of certainty beyond. But with respect to the microcosm, or man, we speculate freely on his 7 states and principles. Inquire, how do you explain these? Theosophist, we find, first of all, 2 distinct beings in man, the spiritual and the physical. The man who thinks and the man who records as much as of these thoughts as he is able to assimilate. Therefore, we divide him into 2 distinct natures, the upper or the spiritual being, composed of 3 principles or aspects, and the lower or the physical quaternary, composed of 4 in all 7. For more information, please visit gutenberg.org.
The only basis for having a vegetarian society and proclaiming a vegetarian principle is and must be a moral one. Mahatma Gandhi Ji, vegetarian.
Gracious viewers, thank you for being with us today.